In this video, we'll build an indoor enclosure for the smallest crocodilian that lives on our planet, the Cuvier's dwarf caiman. It is time to return to the Reptile House in the Elm Hill City Zoo to add one more crocodilian indoor enclosure. The Reptile House is almost finished and I really hope you guys will enjoy today's episode. Hello guys, this is Cesar Creates and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to the Elm Hill City Zoo. Today we are back to the Reptile House where we'll be adding the smallest crocodilian species living right now on our planet, the Cuvier's dwarf caiman. This tiny little caiman was added to the game with the aquatic pack, and as it appears, the aquatic pack has been released for consoles this week. This is a total coincidence. I didn't plan to add this video at the same week as the new DLC was dropping for the console players, but I am so happy that you guys playing on consoles will be able to build also for those tiny little crocodilians because they are quite nice. I must admit that this is the first time that I am ever building for those. I have never done a proper habitat for them. Of course, I released them to like a random habitat to see how they look, but I've never built a proper habitat like we are building today for those guys ever, even before having my channel. So this is so exciting for me. I must say that I really love those tiny little guys just because they are so interesting. They are the tiniest crocodilians in the world, which makes them really unique. They have those really cool white markings on the face. They are known for hiding in the burrows when the outside temperature is too high to cool themselves down, and that's why we'll be building a special cave for them today in this habitat, but more on that later. And also they are the only crocodilian species that doesn't perform the death roll technique used by other crocodilians for fighting and also for catching their prey and making sure that it doesn't escape. Because they are so small, they mainly feed on fish, amphibians, small mammals, birds, shrimps, mollusks, insects, invertebrates, and stuff like this. That's why they probably don't need to use the death roll just as other crocodilians who prey on much bigger animals, and this probably explains it. The dwarf caiman is the last crocodilian that we'll be adding to our reptile house, and this is also the last available because we added all of them that are in the game right now. So we have the gharial, we have the saltwater crocodile, the American alligator, the spectacled caiman, and now the Cuvier's dwarf caiman. By the way, it is so weird that we still don't have the Nile crocodile in the game, but I have my little theory about this. Maybe if I'll have time, I will share it with you. This habitat will be fully indoor, just as we did for the other crocodilians, and it will be very similar to the habitat that we created for the spectacled caimans last time that we were building in the reptile house. So I used a lot of things that I actually created for the spectacled caimans, just as the, for example, a viewing window or just a general idea about this habitat. So if you guys would like to see how I created those things initially, definitely check out the previous episode of the Reptile House. The link will be down in the description and on the screen right now, so you can go and check out the video. Lately, we've been working on our petting zoo in the Elm Hill City Zoo because of the release of the Barnyard Animal Pack and the fact that I really wanted to build the petting zoo in the Elm Hill City Zoo always. But as I told you in one of the episodes, I just didn't want to make a huge break in the episodes focusing on the reptile house. So we'll be going like back and forth between this and other builds. But to be completely honest, I think that there will be only 2 more episodes of the reptile house after this. So there will be one more exhibit animal, like one more habitat build in here, and then we'll be like sort of finishing the whole house, adding a lot of exhibits, those small tiny reptiles, snakes and stuff that a lot of you actually asked me if I'll be adding them here. The answer is of course yes. There's so many of them that I want to add in here, and and it is a reptile house, but we'll be also adding amphibians in here. It is so common for zoos to call the houses like this reptile houses, and then you have frogs inside. So yeah, we'll be adding them both, and I have an idea for different sections and how to do it. So I hope you will like the finished building. It is so much work still ahead of me, but I'm so glad that the actual indoor habitats are so close from being finished. Only one more reptile to go. This will be a lizard. I don't think that you guys will have a lot of problems guessing what it will be. There's not many reptiles left that I haven't added here. And as I promised you, after the whole reptile house will be finished, I'll do the tour of the Elm Hill City Zoo, and I will try to post the zoo on the Steam Workshop for you to check it out. I am so hopeful that I'll be able to do it, because the zoo is getting bigger and bigger, and there's so many pieces in it that I don't know if there's any piece limit for uploading the whole zoos to the workshop. I know that there is one for the blueprints, but I don't have too much experience in, you know, adding the whole zoos, because I don't have any of them finished yet. But I will do my best to upload the Elm Hill City Zoo to the workshop so you guys can check it out. So as you guys could see, at first I added the glass barriers to our exhibit. I just had to have them to be able to place water inside of it. After this, I did some terraforming. I created the whole water section for them. They will have a lot of water in this exhibit, more than a land. I'm sure that crocodilians would appreciate that. After that, I added all of those rock formations in the back for a nice background of the exhibit, and I created a little cave for them. This is because I read that they like to burrow, like they like to hide in the burrow when the temperature is too high for them, and they do something that is called estivating. This is something really similar to hibernating, but animals that hibernate usually do it in winter when the weather is just simply too cold, and estivating, from what I can understand, is when animals are simply there's too hot for them and they want to hide from the heat, and the dwarf caimans can burrow during the dry seasons, and they are able to maintain their body temperature around 22 degrees in the burrow. So this is super interesting, and also something that I wanted to use here. Also, I've seen a lot of different caves and burrows like this in different crocodile exhibits in zoos that I visited. So, and we actually did something similar for the gharials and for the American alligators, if I remember it correctly. And here we also be adding the heat lamp inside of the cave. I just wanted to make it look nice, decorated around it, and so on. Those guys, the dwarf caimans, are really small, just as the name says. So in here I could place more details, because simply their traversable area is much better than other bigger crocodiles that we have in the game. After that, it was time to add all of the plants on the top of the rock walls. Of course, again, I added a lot of tropical plants, and I also added a lot of those hanging and creeping plants that will cover a big surface of those walls, so it all looks more like tropical than just like a canyon or anything. And for this, I love to use two different types of plants: the Lords and Ladies plants, plant from the Twilight pack, and also the Hosta plant that was added with the Eurasia Animal Plaque in the free update. The Hosta plants, actually, they in this variegated variant, they remind me of a house plant called Photos, that you can of course also find in the tropical regions of our planet. And this brings me to something that I don't think that I ever talked about, the plants that are missing in the game. I actually considered to do a video like this, but I don't know if it will be like super popular for you to hear my plant wish list for Planet Zoo. There are a lot of plants that I think would make a total sense for the game, and they are still not here. I mean a lot of plants that are like very popular house plants, because they are simply easy to get for the zoos. They look good, they are easy to maintain, they are also easy to swap if the plant died or something happened to it. I'm quite surprised that there is no bird of paradise yet, that we don't have any rubber plants or fiddle leaf figs. There's also a really popular weeping fig that would absolutely make sense for the game. There are so many types of philodendrons, there is photos that I already mentioned, and so many more different species that I think that would just make perfect sense for indoor enclosures like this, and would be just simply easy to implement in the game. And as I told you, I see them in zoos all of the time, so to me it is quite surprising that we don't have those, and we have, for example, silver ferns that grow only in New Zealand, or we have Joshua trees that grow only in USA, but we don't have such popular plants. Okay, but enough about plants, because we have a new sponsor in the Elm Hill City Zoo that I would like to introduce to you. Huge thanks to Andres Parra, who is another person who decided to sponsor the Addax habitat. Thank you so much. I am so glad that this particular habitat is so popular, because I simply love those antelopes, and I am so happy with how this habitat has turned out. So I am very happy that you guys like it. So again, thank you so much, Andres, for sponsoring this habitat. And if some of you would also like to become a sponsor of a habitat in the Elm Hill City Zoo, all you need to do is become a member of the channel with the join button down below, and then drop me a comment under any of my videos. Tell me what habitat you would like to sponsor, and I will add your plug next to your habitat, and I will show you it in the next video, in the next episode of the Elm Hill City Zoo. After I was done with all the plants on the top of the rock walls, it was time to add all the details to this habitat, such as rocks, different branches, roots, and leaves, and all the things that will make it look interesting and nice in the end. Of course, I wanted to make this habitat look a bit unique and different from all the different enclosures in this house. It is somehow similar to the spectacled caiman habitat, as I already told you, but it is much smaller because the size of the crocodilians is also much smaller, and there are some unique features just as the cave, or I will also do like those branches that will just go inside of the water, and they will be overgrown with different plants that will be growing on them. And I think that this is actually my favorite detail about this habitat. I just love how it has turned out. To be completely honest, this wasn't my most demanding build ever. It was actually quite easy and fast to build, just because I was using a lot of things that I already had in the house, but also this habitat is just simply small, so I didn't have much room for additional decorations, and I was quite happy about this because it was perfect for my schedule of the videos. Just as I told you guys in the last episode, I'll be releasing this when I will actually be on my little holidays to Spain. I'm so excited about this. I'm actually going for a music festival to Barcelona, the Primavera Sound, so maybe I will meet some of you there. I don't know if you'll see me somewhere. Come and say hi. It is a huge festival, so I am pretty sure that maybe someone who is watching me will be attending. I will be there with friends, and I really cannot wait. But yeah, when this video will be going live, I will probably be preparing to go for the last day of the festival. And because I didn't have much time to prepare a video before I left, it was just a perfect episode for the time that I had. So it was really a coincidence. I didn't plan it when it comes to the release of the aquatic pack for the console edition. Again, I am so happy because the aquatic pack and Twilight pack are really nice. In my ranking of the packs, I know that I didn't place the aquatic pack that high. This is because I really don't use the pieces from this pack, and also the animals are not my favorite, but this is solely by preference. I don't use the animals from this pack much in my builds, but of course it was so nice because of all the diving mechanics that were introduced with it and stuff like this. But yeah, not really a fan of the faux rocks and anything, so there are so many nicer packs that you guys still don't have on consoles and you will have soon, and those are the ones that I will be so excited about. And I am still super excited for the PC because there's at least one more DLC confirmed for the game, so I really cannot wait to find out what it will be about. As you guys can see, the speed build part of the video is coming to an end. We added a lot of different details. We did some finishing touches by adding drains, vents, some sprinklers to the habitat, some lights, and a lot of different details on the floor of the habitat for different textures. So this is basically it, and I will meet you guys in a second in the cinematic shots to show you the habitat from all of the sides. Because the Cuvier's dwarf caiman is so small, I decided to add 3 of them to this enclosure. In real life zoos, you'll also see sometimes bigger numbers of crocodiles living in one enclosure if it is of course big enough. This enclosure is just packed with plants and I love it about it. But at the same time, it leaves plenty of space for the caimans to both swim in the water and also chill on the land section of the enclosure. I really love the little cave that I created here. It's a pity that they cannot use it, but it still looks super nice. The Cuvier's dwarf caiman is a very interesting crocodilian, and it is so nice to have different species of those really popular animals in different shapes and sizes. My only complaint about this is that this model seems to be a bit oversaturated compared to the real life photos of this animal. In real life, it is still one of the most colorful crocodilians, but it is definitely not as colorful as in Planet Zoo. But this is just a tiny detail. I still love this animal and I am so happy to finally build for it, because as I told you guys, this is actually my first time building for the Cuvier's dwarf caiman, and I really hope you guys like my first attempt of building for them. In the next Planet Zoo video, we will actually finally return to the Desert Adventure Park, where I will build a souvenir shop, and after that we'll be back to the Elm Hill City Zoo, where I will be building something maybe totally different than you might expect. I want to build something before the final tour, and after that build we'll be again back to the reptile house to add our final reptile. Okay guys, this is all that I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell if you want to be notified every time I upload a new video. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and also leave me a nice comment. Tell me what you think about the habitat. If you'd like to support the channel a little bit extra and become a sponsor of one of the habitats in the Elm Hill City Zoo, click the join button down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys!